Macy was usually very well behaved, but today she was visibly upset. If her father didn't listen to her, she was on the brink of throwing a tantrum. Her face was already red and tears were starting to fill her eyes. She refused to get ready for the day by not brushing her teeth or putting on her school clothes. Standing in the hallway, she insisted on being left alone, adamant that she wouldn't go anywhere today. Macy Sampson was an 8-year-old girl living in a small town in Maine. She was a curious and energetic child, often seen with a smile on her face and a glimmer of wonder in her eyes. Her parents, John Sampson and his wife, had raised her to be kind, confident, and inquisitive. Macy's family lived in a cozy house on the outskirts of town, surrounded by tall pines and the crisp air of the Maine wilderness. John was a busy man, often working long hours to provide for his family. He relied on Alice to watch over Macy and her younger brother, Keegan, when he was away. Alice was a sly and mysterious girl, often disappearing into her own world of secrets and mischief. But John trusted her enough to leave his children in her care. One day, while rummaging through the basement, John stumbled upon a pile of old boxes. "What the hell are all of these boxes in my basement? Macy?" he called out, confused. Macy, who had followed him to the basement, looked at the boxes with curiosity. "I don't know, Dad. I've never seen them before." John opened one of the boxes and found it filled with old newspapers and photographs. As he sifted through them, he found a picture of a woman who resembled Alice. On the back of the photo was a date and a message that read, "I'll always remember our time together. Love, A." John's suspicions grew as he found more and more clues that pointed to Alice. He started to wonder about her mysterious past and the secrets she was hiding. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something was not right about his babysitter. One night, John decided to set up a camera in the living room to see what Alice was up to when she was watching Macy and Keegan. The next morning, when he checked the footage, he was horrified by what he saw. Alice had been bringing strange men into the house while John was away. John couldn't believe what he was seeing. He never would have thought that his babysitter could be capable of such things. He immediately confronted Alice, who denied everything and accused John of not trusting her. John knew he had to protect his family from Alice's dangerous activities. He called the police and showed them the footage. They were able to use the evidence to arrest Alice and the men she had been bringing into the house. Macy was heartbroken when she found out that her babysitter had been arrested. She couldn't understand why Alice would betray their family like that. John and his wife sat down with their children and explained that Alice was not the person they thought she was. They promised to always protect them from harm. Macy learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of trusting strangers and the importance of listening to your instincts. John was grateful that he had followed his gut and discovered the truth before it was too late. If it weren't for Macy's curiosity and her eagerness to explore, John may have never uncovered the truth about Alice's secret life. Her innocent questions and desire to understand the world around her led to the unraveling of a dangerous plot. Through this experience, John and Macy's bond grew stronger. He was proud of her for always asking questions and never settling for easy answers. Their father-daughter relationship became even more special as they navigated this difficult situation together. After Alice's arrest, John did some digging and discovered that she had been involved in a dangerous cult before she moved in with them. Her past explained her strange behavior and her need to seek out dangerous activities. With Alice behind bars and their family safe, John and his wife were able to breathe a sigh of relief. They were grateful for their daughter's inquisitive nature, which ultimately led to the end of a dangerous nightmare. After the chaos and turmoil of the past few weeks, John and his family were ready for a fresh start. They moved to a new town, where John found a job that allowed him to spend more time with his children. Macy and Keegan's smiles returned, and they were happy to leave their old house and its dark secrets behind.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
John's experience taught him that no matter how well you think you know someone, there will always be secrets and dangers lurking beneath the surface. He made a promise to himself to always stay vigilant and protect his family from any harm that may come their way. Through it all, Macy's love for her family never wavered. She showed incredible strength and resilience in the face of danger, and her unwavering love for her family helped them all get through the ordeal. John and his family were finally able to move on and find happiness in their new home. They learned to let go of the past and focus on the present, holding each other close and cherishing every moment they had together. John's story was a warning to all parents to never underestimate the power of their children's curiosity. It could lead to great discoveries, but it could also uncover dangerous secrets. He hoped that his story would inspire others to be vigilant and always listen to their instincts. As John and his family settled into their new life, they received a letter from Alice, who was still in prison. In it, she apologized for everything and asked for forgiveness. As they read the letter, a wave of mixed emotions washed over them. They were unsure of what the future held, but they were ready to face whatever came their way, together. Miriam stared intently at the TV, her hand nervously wringing her apron. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. A masked, dark figure flashed across the screen, breaking into houses and robbing them of their valuables. The news anchor's voiceover described the robber as being swift and elusive, leaving no trace behind. Macy couldn't sleep that night, her thoughts consumed by the robber. She lived in fear that the mysterious figure would make its way into their home. She held her breath every time she heard a noise, convinced that the robber was lurking just outside her window. John and Miriam sat at the kitchen table, their once happy household now tensy and anxious. The robber had struck several houses in their neighborhood, and they couldn't help but fear for their own safety and that of their children. Keegan, Macy's younger brother, was fascinated by the mysterious robber. To him, the whole situation seemed like something out of a movie. He eagerly devoured every piece of information he could find, much to the chagrin of his worried parents. One afternoon, a knock on the door drew Miriam's attention away from dinner. As she opened the door, her heart skipped a beat when she saw who it was: Diana, their neighbor. She had heard about the robberies and wanted to offer Miriam some tips on how to protect their home. Meanwhile, Alice, the former babysitter recently out from incarceration, couldn't help but feel curious about the Sampson household. She had always thought there was something off about them, and the recent robberies only made her more suspicious. As Alice walked by the Sampson house, she noticed something strange: a new surveillance camera. She remembered the news report stating that the robber always struck at night, and she couldn't help but wonder why the Sampsons would need a camera. Determined to get to the bottom of things, Alice contacted her old friend, a hacker named Max. With his help, she successfully hacked into the Sampson surveillance system and discovered something shocking. It was Diana, their neighbor, who was the mysterious robber. Alice couldn't believe what she was seeing. She had babysat for the Sampsons before her incarceration and never would have suspected Diana, the friendly, seemingly kind neighbor, to be capable of such crimes. She knew she had to tell someone. That same night, Alice snuck into the Sampsons' house. She knew it was risky, but she needed to talk to John and Miriam. She wanted to tell them the truth about their seemingly innocent neighbor, and she also wanted to find out why Diana was doing this. Alice explained everything to John and Miriam, showing them the surveillance footage as proof. The couple was in shock, unable to wrap their heads around the fact that someone they knew would betray them like this. But they were also grateful to Alice for bringing the truth to their attention. John called the police immediately, and they arrived in record time. They arrested Diana and found all the stolen valuables in her house. It turned out that she was in debt and resorted to robbing her neighbors to pay off her loans. With the robber caught and their neighborhood safe once again, the Sampson household returned to its happy, peaceful state. Alice was hailed as a hero, and even Keegan stopped obsessing over the mysterious robber, much to his parents' relief. Macy couldn't help but feel grateful for what Alice did. She had always thought her former babysitter was just a troublemaker, but now she saw her in a different light. She wished she had the chance to thank her for saving their family from any potential harm. A few days later, Alice received a visit from the Sampsons. They wanted to thank her in person and offer her a job as their new babysitter. Alice was touched by their gesture and accepted it, grateful for the second chance they were giving her. As days went by, Alice and Macy grew closer. They spent afternoons together, baking cookies and reading books. Macy no longer saw Alice as a former criminal, but as a kind, caring friend who helped keep her family safe. Just when things seemed to be going back to normal, John received a call from the police. Diana had escaped from prison and was on the run. The police believed she was looking for revenge and warned the Sampsons to be extra cautious. Alice received a strange package in the mail. It contained a newspaper clipping with a photo of her and the Sampsons, along with a note that read, "I know where you live." She immediately called John and told him about the package. John was determined to keep his family safe, and he knew he had to take extra precautions now that Diana was on the loose. He installed state-of-the-art security cameras and made sure his family stayed with him at all times. Despite the terrifying event, John and Miriam saw it as a silver lining. They were able to move past their initial prejudice and see Alice for who she truly was, a kind-hearted, courageous woman who would do everything to protect those she cared about.